Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Surprise. We thought we were early. I guess we're really kind of just bang on time at 10:30.
It's now 10:30, so here we are.
You ever heard that expression? If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, don't bother showing up. Did anybody in your life ever tell you that one?
You know, I probably should have heard that when I was a kid. I didn't hear that till I was an adult and realized some people were thinking that because I was always very much that you don't want to show up early to anything because it might be rude. Like, remember showing up for like if you were going to babysit for somebody or interview with somebody, and if I got there early, I would park down the street so they wouldn't know I was there because.
Oh yeah, I feel like that was something my kids had anxiety about too. Like they didn't want to be early and they didn't want to be late. They wanted to be wherever they needed to be, like at that exact moment. And there were definitely times when we had to wait in the car, like to go before seeing the math tutor. Like, it's probably okay to go in a few minutes early. They're like, no, I can't do that.
I've gotten the same thing when I'm supposed to drive somebody somewhere. It's like, well, it's fine. It's a party, it's 5 minutes. It's not, no, I have to be there right when it starts. I have to be there.
Yeah, you have to work on your just-in-time delivery when you become the chauffeur of teens. So I think we're going to talk about driving in a minute, as you alluded to.
That's one of the things. So yeah, today we're kind of talking about that happy medium in another way, aren't we? About when we want our kids to be bold and brave, and when we want them to pull back a little. And it could be the same. We can go both ways on the same topic, right?
Yeah. Right. It's one of those, and different people have different ideas about what's a safe risk and what's not a safe risk. This week I had a little unsafe risk of my own, which had a bad consequence. Do you want to hear about it?
Of course.
Okay.
What happened?
All right. First of all, I'm going to tell you that once you're north of 50, any kind of physical activity takes on an element of risk.
This is not good.
No, it's not starting well at all. We had a really nice day last Wednesday, and I was like, I'm going to take my bike out. And I got the tires pumped up, and I got my helmet on. I was observing all the safety regulations, and I wanted to go. Where I wanted to go, I had to cross the busiest street in our city. So I did the safe thing, and I hit the walk button, but I did the unsafe thing, which is I did it on my bike instead of getting off my bike. So I leaned over to hit the walk button. The front tire of my bike dipped into a little crevice and my whole bike tipped over, and I landed the full weight of my pandemic body, my out of shape and pandemic body, and my bike onto my rib cage into the crosswalk signal. And thus I am sporting a lovely ice pack on my rib cage.
Wait, from last week, you're still sore every day? Oh no.
It hurts to cough and sneeze.
Did you break something?
Probably. I mean, my professional Googling powers tell me that if you've cracked a rib, there is nothing you can do about it except just complain to your friends, which is what I'm doing right now.
So this reminds me of encouraging your kids. Like, you want them to ride their bike. You want them to play on the playground. You don't want them to be afraid to go up to the slide and be the kid who says, oh, I don't want to try. But then you might have the kid who's like walking on the top of the monkey bars or swinging by one arm. So this is not a new problem that we have.
No, it's not.
We want to calibrate them just right. Basically, we want to have the gas and the brake on our children.
Oh, that's a really good visual. I like that. It's like, okay, go a little faster, but not too fast. It's really hard to get that just right feeling of, we talk a lot about encouraging risk and but what we mean as parents sometimes is like, oh, what I meant was I wanted you to try a new food or go out for the softball team or whatever that might have, what you had in mind for a safe risk. And what they're thinking is, woohoo, I'm going to go downtown with my friends and not tell you, or, something that's a little bit more outside of the comfort zone than you had discussed. So we'd love to hear from people if you're watching and you want to tell us what safe or unsafe risk your kids have taken that you were worried about. We'd like to hear about that. So what's it looking like in your house these days? Where is
the meter? I mean, there's the there's the risks. There's all kinds, there's the physical risks. And we've been there with COVID too. Like, I don't want you to completely withdraw from your friends, but I want you to get together with your friends safely. So it's like, we're used to that. And then there's the going back to school too. But right now, I have one who's eligible to drive and get a temporary permit, which this teenager is willing to do. But I sense that there's not like the real drive, like, gotta do it now. I can't wait. Bring me now. So it's like, we want to keep the forward motion going, because you don't want to pamper the anxiety or just give into it, right?
Right.
So you want to push through and to help the kid work through the discomfort. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? It's good to be cautious about driving. It's good to be a little nervous because it's dangerous and you don't want the kid to be reckless. So again, it's trying to like say, yes, you should be nervous, but yes, you will be okay. And you should get on the road where it's dangerous. I don't know. How do you balance that?
What we did is we took our girls when they were learning to drive. We took them to the safest place we could think of where they could do the least amount of damage, which was the local cemetery.
Everybody's already dead.
And that's right. You can't hurt anybody in here except maybe me because I'm in the passenger seat. But literally they're crawling along, below school safety zone speed, just getting the feel of what does it feel like to roll this gigantic piece of equipment and make turns with it. You can see the exhilaration in their face when they're like, wow, I'm making this happen. And it feels to them like they're on a roller coaster. But that was a great first step because they really almost could do no damage in there. Ironically, that is the place I was trying to get to on my bike the other day. I was like, I'll ride my bike over there. There's no cars most of the time. It'll be safe. Didn't account for my own ineptitude.
Jen, what kind of teenager were you? Were you like a cautious or a reckless teen more, or did it depend?
It depended. I would say, and I think probably I passed this DNA on to my kids, but I was kind of a physically cautious kid. I don't think I rode a roller coaster until I was 13 or 14. I thought it was terrifying to me. Once I did, I loved it, but it really took some peer pressure to get me over it. And other things that I remember I took gymnastics for many years as a kid, but the minute they started putting me up on those high bars, I was like, this feels crazy to me. I think I'm going to get very hurt doing this. I think I switched to like modern dance then. You stay on the ground. So yeah, physically cautious, but then I did some dumb stuff, like things that you don't think are risky as a teen. Like I went on an outing with a boy my parents didn't know he could drive. I couldn't. He pulled into the driveway and I went off for an outing with him and didn't even tell them where I was going. And it was somebody I knew from like a summer camp that I counseled with. And that's the kind of thing that makes parents crazy because they're like, do you understand how risky that is? Like, no, I really didn't.
Right.
Socially, I think I took risks that I didn't even know were risks. And I bet a lot of our kids do that. They just don't have the power of life experience to be able to balance that out. And they don't see that they're doing something that is possibly putting them in harm's way.
Right. And in addition to the physical harm or, that kind of thing, you mentioned social risks too, but what about the kid who you encourage to, get out, put yourself out there a little more, speak up a little more, and then all of a sudden they're running for student council and you're just like, ooh, they're going to get this is not going to end well. They're so excited about it, but they're going to get hurt. Yeah, that can be hard to watch too.
But it's hard to watch, but we can't bubble wrap them from that. I want to point out we have Amy is joining us this morning. She's wishing us good morning, Amy.
Hi, Amy.
And she is having a really tough time right now. She says, I'm a desperate mom right now. My 17-year-old son is rebelling so bad. and never in 17 years did I think he'd be doing these things. Amy, we feel your pain, and it is, I'm sure there are parents out there right now nodding along and saying, oh my gosh, 17, that is hard. They have a driver's license potentially. They think they have agency over everything they're doing. That's really tough. If anybody has some, words of sympathy or advice for Amy, please share with her.
That's when you really want those breaks, because what we want as parents a lot of times is control, right? Because we feel like we know how to keep them safe. We know when they should be brave. We know what they should be doing. We know what, if they just would follow the rules, everything would go more smoothly, but we just can't get them to do what we want. So that is part of the hard part about teens. I think a theme for a lot of today is like we're trying to put those guardrails in, but that's all we can do. We can't drive the car for them. We can kind of say, you can't go beyond this, and like kind of stay on the road. Like don't go too far in either direction, but they're controlling it there, and it's tough.
Amy, if you feel comfortable telling us, I don't know what nature of risk you're talking about, if it's like physical things that he's doing, or if it's social risk, some behaviors that you think are harmful to him. I just think, whatever it is, it hurts you as a parent. And the one thing I will say is we feel like they're repudiating us when they do that. They're not necessarily. Sometimes it's just where they are developmentally is the need is so strong to differentiate and to move apart from you. And I don't think that they're meaning to hurt us when they do that. But that is how it feels.
And what we should add, and we should probably say this every week, we have a parent group that on your team. And everybody there is so supportive, and everybody understands these struggles. So we'll try to post that link. I see Lori in the comments too. I know Lori's in that group. Maybe Lori could post the link. Lori, you don't have to do that for us. We'll do it for you after.
It's called Working Hard to Raise Teens. And if you're on our Facebook page right now, you can go to the groups and ask to join. And it is a very warm and welcoming and supportive community of parents. And you will find other parents who are dealing with what you're dealing with, and you can tell them, I need help, or I just need a place to vent, or do you have ideas? Whatever it is that you need to get there. So
we also, at your team, we have a huge library of expert articles and insight into these problems that all of us are dealing with. I might need one thing one day, and you might need another topic that same day. So it is a great resource, and we'll try to see if we can post some help, some guidance there too.
We'll post some links to some of our really good articles in there from all of our experts, so you can find those. It's a good starting place. I have a couple of other nice comments in here. Do you want to pick a few, Sharon?
Yes. Well, Ariana's saying this is the hard. Oh, why isn't that showing? Here we go. We have to trust that we raise them well and send them off with good energy. Staying supportive and always being there for them is imperative. So hard when you have done your best and they still do whatever crazy, ill-advised things they're doing. It's a powerless position to be in. Bubble wrap him, says Lori. We wish, right?
Don't we all want to do that? We do. We really do. Whether it's something big or small, or like if it's a physical thing we want to protect them from, or like Sharon was saying, that reputational risk that they're taking, like, oh, that is so painful to watch, and we just want to protect them from everything. That's what we were taught to do. When they came home from the hospital, we put them in that little car seat, and that fleece-lined, lamb-lined car seat, and we drove them 14 miles per hour from the hospital home. And then we put them in a bassinet, and then in a crib that has rails on it, and then in a toddler bed that has the guardrails on it. And that's all we want, that, but teen-sized. And it's so hard because that doesn't really exist. Their job is to move away from us, and our job is to get left. And all we can do is to be the safe place for them to come back time and time again when they need to. Super, super hard.
What about do we have any advice about like drugs and alcohol, and when we want them to see their friends and we want them to have a social life? It's so important for teenagers, but then we worry about what's going on when we're not there. And I there's a lot of things we have actually us let her kid go to a party, or no, he said it wasn't a party. He said he was just going over to his friend's house. And she actually went over and showed up at the house because she had a feeling that something wasn't quite right. And her mom instincts were right. So it's like worrying about these risks can make us do things we thought we'd never do too.
Yeah, that's true. It definitely can push you beyond the kind of mom you thought you were. And sometimes that backfires on us, but it's, you have to trust your mom instinct to some degree. If you think there's something going on that is really physically harming your child.
Right.
Yeah, you have to go a little bit beyond the,
let go and trust. You have to sometimes pull back a little bit. That's those breaks we want to have. And sometimes I think it's really nice to hear the stories too, which I don't think we hear often enough, but there are parents whose kids are now launched, or, they're in their 20s, or maybe even a little younger. And they say, you know what, we went through this too. I was tearing my hair out. I was losing sleep. I had no idea.
Sharon's breaking up a little bit, at least on my end.
Yeah, sorry. I think I'm better now.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. So I love those stories, which we should hear more of, about, this was really tough for a couple of years. And, now he or she has found their way. And
yeah, those are nice to hear.
Yeah.
It can be a little bit of a long haul. Sometimes I do know parents who have that story and say, there were just times when we couldn't do anything about it. And we had to just remind our son or daughter that we're here and this is what we expect. And when you're ready to adhere to those, to this rule or these, routines that we have, come on back.
Yeah.
And some of them did have to go on their own, I'm talking about older kids a little bit, like toward college age. I think I saw somebody in here, maybe it was Amy, saying that she's trying to use Life 360 and he deleted himself from that. Technology is great when it works, but they are always going to be 3 steps ahead of us on that.
I love this idea, Lori, that you bring the kids to you as much as possible. I know a lot of people try to do this, try to be the go-to house, because then you see what's going on. They talk to each other when they forget you're listening. They're in a safe place. And then you get to know their friends too. So
that is nice. I think that's really helpful to enlist a slightly older friend or relative who can talk to the person, your son or daughter, because at a certain point, you're the dumbest person they know, and they don't want to hear anything from you at all. But a cousin who's 2 years older, who can take them aside and say, hey, what you're doing is really dumb. And let me tell you why. I did that too. And here's 5 reasons why you shouldn't be doing that. Or just somebody else who can be that guide in their life. It can't always be us. Sometimes we have to find another trusted adult to take that role. What does Ariana say?
She has the
She's a
point that what it was at that age too. Am I still breaking up?
A little bit. I think somebody is using.
But you can see Ariane's comment. Okay. So even if you can't hear me yapping, you can see what I'm yapping about. Because I think most of us can probably read the screen from where we are. But I love the idea of having a sign about being rescued from a bad situation. Just text me, pick me up. That's a great one too, because then we could send them out in the world and say, yes, go see your friends, but yes, you can fall back on me and I'll come get you, and no judgment.
Yeah,
So
that's a good one. I don't think I had that understanding with my parents, and there were a few times in my life when it might have made a little bit of a difference if I felt I could have called to say, I'm kind of in a situation that is a little weird and dicey, and can you just come and get me?
And we didn't have the phones either, so
no,
there
right,
wasn't as the expectation. I mean, I remember going around with my friends. Luckily, it was pretty mild, but I would be out at the diner or at the playground in the summer nights and stuff. And like, if something had happened, I wouldn't have had any way to reach home. So the phones are a blessing and a curse because we expect to be able to rescue a little more, but either they don't use them, or, we haven't made it clear that they can reach out to us. Kelly wants to know about discipline ideas. I think this conversation is going to continue long after this chat today.
I think so too.
But I think that Kelly's asking about discipline and taking away the screen. I think that is what a lot of us try to do, but it is hard because that is their lifeline to the world. So
right. We actually talked about this a little bit last week, and it's still probably up on our website or on our Facebook page if you want to go back and listen, because we talked about how our parents disciplined and how we discipline, and it's a little bit different, which was
we should link it. We should link that, Jen. We'll drop the link to our chat last week, because we were talking about discipline old and discipline new.
Right.
But
and also there's a difference between discipline and punishment. And
right.
I think, we get so angry and upset when they defy us and they do the dumb thing, whatever that dumb thing is, that we want to punish them. And most of the time when you're talking about these, older teens, that is not super effective. Whereas discipline is more about like helping them learn to be self-regulating, which is the goal. And that is going to be, that's a long process. It doesn't happen overnight. And so yeah, we have lots of different resources where we'll link to this. And Sharon, you and I have homework to do.
I know. We have to get off and start dropping links.
I know. I think we might have to enlist our friend Jody. Jody is like the best curator. She goes in and finds like the best articles that we have, and she'll go in and find like just the right little piece of wisdom that you need. So I think my goal is to give our homework to Jody when she's thing. Is that a good idea?
I love it. Yes. Okay. Paging Jody. We'll tag her. But we will see you in the comments. We'll be there after we sign off, which I think we're gonna say goodbye now.
Yeah, and definitely go check out, if you're not already in the Working Hard to Raise Teens group. That is a good place to continue the conversation. There will be other parents who have been there, done that, and have some words of wisdom or just support for you. So come join us over there and watch for some more details in the chat.
Yeah, and we'll see you next week as always.
Okay. All right. Take care, everybody.
See you in the comments.